If you've got access to enough features, you can pretty much drum up, see what I did there, almost any sound you can think of, which is exactly what you're hearing here from PERC. It's the electronic drum machine model that we get in the Polyend Tracker Plus. And if you've got an almost infinite number of kits you can create, you're no longer restricted to looking for samples, just create your own. What you're listening to is a quick run through of just some of the factory presets, and these are all different settings from the same drum machine modeler. And in this video, I'll run through what it's got and how to program it. And if you don't want to be too adventurous, simply strip things back to basics, turn back the clock, and recreate classics like this. If you haven't been paying attention, here I've got the Polyend Tracker Plus, and just like the Polyend Play Plus, the Tracker Plus brings with it a lot of new functionality. And here's my original tracker. It's in its nice little carry case. I got this on Amazon for less than £30 if you're interested. And the only real differences you can see at a glance are the plus sign for the Tracker Plus, and the surfaces are a bit different. They've got different textures, and the knob on the new one has been upgraded. And you can't quite see it on this image, but it's got a textured surface as well with these concentric circles. It looks a little bit like a posh watch face. And the buttons have all been rubberized as well. You wouldn't really notice, to be honest, without comparing them side by side. Things that you would really notice, though, come in the software. We've got the 4 synth models that you get in the Polyend Play Plus. In the broadest terms, one's a bit like an SH101, one's a bit like a Mini Moog, one's a bit like a Prophet 5 or a Prophet 600. One's an FM synth. As I say, broadest terms, they're not meant to be those synths in any way, but gives you an idea about what we have. Other things that we get in this, like audio over USB. This is being recorded with the audio over USB. If you look down here, you can see there's no audio connections on the back, just the USB. Plus we get 8 tracks of MIDI, so the sequencer is now 16 tracks. That's really useful because it does become a centerpiece for the studio. And I should mention it's TRS MIDI, so it comes with these adapters. And one thing I really like about Polyend actually is that they pay attention to the details. Look at this little SIM card with the P on it. That's a very nice touch. And you get all the cables you need and the really good quality. Getting back to the additions though, this has got stereo sampling, making use of the expanded memory. But the thing I really wanted to talk about today came as a firmware update back in, I think it was March or April of this year. It's firmware 1.01, came with this percussive drum modeling engine. So it's basically a drum machine built in, and you can tweak all sorts of parameters. Let's take a look at that then. I've got it playing on this track here. Go into the master. These are the only 2 samples I'm playing. Let's mute them. Everything else that you're listening to here is on the synth engines. So we can see the synth engines playing there. Then if we come back into the pattern, turn everything off. What you were listening to there was all produced by the onboard synths. If we come into the instrument parameters here, we can see we've got percussive playing twice, and then we've got the ACD, like the little acid engine, playing that little arpeggio line. And the kick and snare I've got on a single channel. That's here. If we play that now, if we look at the purple stuff, that's where we're changing the key. And if we look at what that is, that's A. Just going over this really quickly to start with, to give you an idea of what it all does. If we go into effects, we can see scrolling all the way down to a lowercase a, macro 1, come into the instrument parameters, edit the patch, macro 1, and there we've got the kick pitch. We've got macros on all of the instruments in here, on all the synths and on the drum machine, and you can edit those macros to change almost any parameter within any of the synths or the drum machine, and you can access them using the effects. So really flexible, but let's take a quick look at how it all works. On the drums, we've got kick, tom, snare, hat, cymbal and percussion. So, and then the toms are all down here. Then we select what we're going to edit using the 16 pads on the left hand side, and you can see with the macros we can have a load of different parameters all modulated via M1 to M7. Back into the pattern, looking at the effects, and that's where we access the macros A, B, C, D, E and F. Oh, and I don't know what's happened to 7 there, just noticed that. But if we come back into the instruments, let's go into the ACD instrument and edit that. So we're in the ACD instrument, edit the patch again. We pick the parameters or the grouping, and then we flick through the parameters using that. So it's not like a knob per function analog synth, but it's really easy to navigate through everything. So let's start a new project. Don't save. And we'll create a bit of a techno beat or something like that. What I'll do is actually I'll go over to the MIDI channels, and that's so I'm not really wasting one of the audio tracks, because the MIDI tracks and the synth tracks don't show up on the main master page on this page here. They come on this second page there. So I'd always suggest using the MIDI tracks for the synths or the drum machines. And just so we can see more of them, if we hit pattern on a couple of those, you can see we've got 9 to 16 on the MIDI, and then the main audio or sample tracks. So let's come back to MIDI channel 9. Let's put an instrument on there. So synth 1 is WTFM at the minute. Go to the instrument parameters, change that to percussive. Loads the initial patch. So the initial patch, if we edit that, it's like a 909 sort of thing. And if we look here, model classic 9, so that's the kick. Got some weight to it, that, hasn't it? Got classic 9 synced in classic 8. So if we scroll up to the 8, and then we can edit various parameters on that. So let's, body decay. Nice big fat 808 style tone. Tunable. Then we can change the transients on them, turn it up or down, or change the tone on it. So loads of things to fiddle with in there. Nice. If we look there as well, we've got effects. We can add a bit of saturation to that. That's across the whole drum machine. Let's add loads. Gorgeous. So we've got a mixer to change the levels. So let's get that snare down a little bit. Well, let's stick it onto more of a 909 style kick for the track I'm going to do now. Whoops. So, Let's get that a little bit. Let's take the effects off for now, shall we? Just looking at that, we've got overdrive and bit crushes as well. I'll play with those in a second, but let's just turn that. Nice, big, juicy sounding 909 style kick. Could go with any of them. These all sound great, don't they? So let's leave it at that for now. Let's go into the pattern and let's add it. Step jump 4. So we're going to jump 4 steps as we do it. What key are we going to play? There we go. C5 is that. So push record. There we go. That's working. Let's put some snares in. Go back into the instrument. Where's the snare? Let's just edit the patch. So go to the snare. Just leave that as it is, maybe. Let's go back to the pattern. Let's come down to where we're going to put the snare in. Step jump 8. Record still on. Cool. Then we'll go to the hi-hats. So let's go back into the instrument again and we'll edit the hi-hats. What sort of hi-hats have we got in here? Bit classic. Let's do something a little bit more interesting with them, maybe. Put the FM on. And change the decay. You can change the decay shape. Just show that there's loads of variation in these tones as well. Let's fill those hi-hats with 16th using the fill function. So we'll select all these. That's selected them all, put into record mode, go into fill. Want each of them to be filled on step number 1 or 1 step at a time. So that's 16ths in this case. Fill type constant on the note F5. You change the note using this, but we know the closed hi is on F5. Hit fill and there we go. So now let's have a little go at doing something different on each of those steps. So we'll put a macro on there. We come into the instrument parameters, edit the patch, go to the hi-hat. So let's do something with a closed decay maybe and the timbre. So if we look at M1, if we got there, just see what we've got on each of these. Hi-hat timbre, this'll do. So we'll do it on this one actually. So we'll just do something there. And on this one well, let's have a listen to this first. Let's turn all these others off. So not affecting any of the other tones. Let's go into the pattern again. So it's now going to select them all. We put an effects one, so shift, select them all. Go to record mode, fill. Let's fill each of them with an effect. So what was it? Macro 4, was it? That's there. Fill type random and values 4 to whatever. To see what that does. If we just listen to yeah, you can hear there's some subtle differences in that. That's just not a constant hi-hat, is it? Quite nice. Let's add some random variation to the decay. So if we come into the instrument parameters again, edit the patch, go into the hi-hat. The decay's there. Let's just change that timbre a bit. Let's drop it down so that it might have a bit more effect. Yeah, so decay, so we do have a decay parameter, so this was it. Come down to the hi-hats. Where are we? Close decay. Just see what it sounds like straight away. Oh yeah, that's good, isn't it? Back into the pattern. Yeah, liking that. Let's add some toms. So put this onto another MIDI channel. We don't have to use another MIDI channel, but it just makes it easy to see what's happening. And we'll change that tone, get that noise out of it, make it more of a conga style tone. So if we go into instrument parameters, edit the patch, go to the toms. Let's take out some of that transient. Let's have a listen to. Yeah, maybe use that one. Oh, that's good. Let's put something like that in. So let's go back into the track. To record that live, record and play, we get a little count in. Okay. That's got some dirt to it, hasn't it? Let's add some bit crushing, actually. I really like the bit crushing on this. It really devastates the sound. I really like that, but that's just a starting point. We could take that whole bit crushed section, we could render it and use it as a sample, so we don't have to be going in and changing things on the fly. In fact, let's do that. So if we go into the pattern, and we'll select everything that we've got on these MIDI channels, so shift to record, render selection. This will render it all now with the bit crusher on it, selection 3, render selection. There we go. And if we go into the sample loader, there it is there, selection 3. Oops. We load that into slot 1. Add. If we go into the instruments now, oops, go back into the pattern, go to the instruments. Oh, we're on a MIDI channel. Let's come back off there. In fact, let's go back into the instruments and just take off that, that bit crusher for now. Back into the pattern, let's go to an audio track. It's audio track 1. And then go to the instruments. And there we can see you've got selection 3. And there it is. So there you go, that's in there as a sample. You could then chop it up and start doing all those creative bits that you do with this. With external samples, don't forget it's got the wavetable engine, it's got the granular engine and all those other things in there. So it's really nice that you can create your own samples using this machine itself. It's almost like it goes back in full circle. So I just wanted to show that little bit as well, because it just brings in so many different thoughts and creative sparks. That it really does add to the machine. It takes it from being the Tracker to the Tracker Plus in ways that you don't expect it to. Here's a little rundown of what I've got in that intro track. So we've got 3 synths playing. We've got the main riff, we've got the drums, and we've got the little acid line. Forgot what I made this one. Instrument parameters. Instrument, are we on there? The VAP. If we come back into the second instrument, and let's just bring it up in the mix. I said, yes, second instrument. It's instrument or synth 3, but it's the second synth I'm playing. We go into this synth. I've got a few macros set up. Filter envelope amount. Envelope decay. And the resonance. Gives me lots to play with, but not too much. It's the cut-off as well. These are the 3 I'm tweaking while I'm playing it. Back into the master, and then let's bring the drums in. So this is just a single instrument using the 808 style sounds without too many tweaks. I've not really done that much to it. If we come into the instrument again, it's the percussive instrument, and look at the parameters. The kick is the classic 808 kick. Toms, I've put them on resonance, but I've brought the transient down so it sounds a little bit like the congas. Snares 808 as well, so you get the idea. Come back into the pattern and then have a look at what we've got in there. If I do that, we can see we've got each of these 8 filled, or things happening in them. So kick, the main, hats, snares and crash, clap, little acid line, and the mid tom are in there as well. And we got the toms on MIDI 10. The Vox have not played yet because I've only been concentrating on the 3 synth voices we've got in here. If I bring the Vox in as well. So master, that's the only sample line we're playing in here because everything else is from the instruments. That's these 3, so let's bring these back up again. Come back into the pattern, I'll just show you how I've set those patterns up. I've got the vocals on pattern 8, or track 8 I should say, as we saw earlier, and then I've got the drums from the one synth split across loads of channels. So if we just mute everything really for now, come across and mute toms as well. So if I play, come back again, just so we can see what's happening. Kick, main line, hats, snares and crash are the same because they don't hit on the same note. Claps, acid tiled. Should really have put the synth lines on the MIDI track so you're not using up all the audio tracks. But it doesn't matter with this. And some toms. Let's come to the other toms as well. If you come back into the first 8 tracks, take these out, and we can stop messing around with the drums. So that's it, 3 of the synth voices plus 1 vocal sample. Sounds cool, doesn't it? So I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. And if it was, please do think about subscribing, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. As you probably know, this channel is funded by my YouTube ads, my affiliate links, and by my marvellous patrons who, for less than the price of a dodgy coffee a month, get access to patches, samples, tutorials, and all sorts of other little goodies. Also, do take a look at my starskycard.com website. Again, there's patches, there's samples, there's stuff to buy, there's free stuff. And as I always say, nice if you pick up some of the really cheap bits, even it all does help to support the channel. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for staying to the very end, and I will see you next time.